right. Happy Sunday. Thought we'd get this in just before the Stampeders kick off if you're joining us live. And welcome to Flames Nation Live on a Sunday. It's Steinberg along with you on this Sunday, and all of a sudden the Flames have lost 4 in a row. They look like a completely different team than the group that started 5-1-0. Even the group that started 5-2-0 when this losing streak started against the Edmonton Oilers, they look like a completely different team. And now here they are, a game above 500 and going out on their first road trip of the season. Of course, they've had one road game, but this is their first actual road trip of the season, and that kicks off on Monday against the New York Islanders. That trip takes them to New York to take on the Islanders, then New Jersey to play the Devils again, and then Thursday it wraps up in Boston. Okay, who's with us on Flames Nation Live? Nobody has put their hands up to say they're in first, so I don't know who's in first, but get your questions, get your comments in on the live chat if you are here with us watching live. If not, thank you for being along with us as well. And regardless if you're watching live or watching on demand, Flames Nation Live is brought to you by our friends at DoorDash. DoorDash is still offering that exclusive for Flames Nation Live viewers. That exclusive is the promo code FNLiveDD. So you go download the app, then create the account. Once you do that, on your first order, use that promo code FNLiveDD. That's going to get you 25% off that order, and it's going to get you free delivery. That's all over at our friends DoorDash. FNLiveDD is the promo code. So here's what we're talking about when it comes to the Flames. We're talking about a group that's lost 4 in a row. That loss came against the New Jersey Devils on Saturday night, and it was not a pretty game. And while I think the Flames deserve some credit for being able to fight back and get a point, I also don't think they played very well. I also don't think it was a very strong outing overall for them. I thought there were some stretches that were okay, but if it weren't for a couple of mistakes from New Jersey, that's a regulation win for the Devils. I thought they controlled most of that hockey game. They were far better in the first, and while the Flames got gradually better in the second and third period, it still was nowhere near the type of hockey that we saw the Flames playing in the first 5 or 6 games of the season. And as I keep on saying, like, the loss that started this 4-game losing skid against the Oilers, I thought they played a really good game, and they got, I don't want to say unlucky, but they could very easily have won that game in regulation, and if it weren't for Connor McDavid doing what Connor McDavid does, it could very well have been a win, and then maybe all of this is, a different conversation. But fact of the matter is, they lose that game in regulation. Then they have the stinker of a first period and stinker of a 5 minutes in the third period against Seattle, and then the brutal Nashville game and a pretty subpar New Jersey game. And I can understand why there's a little frustration right now when it comes to the way they're playing. I don't think it's time to ring alarm bells or slam panic buttons or anything like that, but I do think that they're capable of playing a whole lot better than they've played. And now, not only are they facing adversity when it comes to results, but they're facing adversity when it comes to the injury bug, because we know Chris Tanev's missed the last couple of games. And while we don't believe that is a super long-term thing with Tanev, and I only say that because he has been around the rink, and I believe he's skated at least once since his last game, but Tanev's missed 2 games, and then Michael Stone leaves Saturday's game a shift in. He played 28 seconds, and now he's been placed on injured reserve, and they've recalled a pair of defensemen for the upcoming road trip, Nick DeSimone and Dennis Gilbert, both coming up from the Wranglers. So they've got the 5 that they used on Saturday: Anderson, Hanifin, Uyghur, Zadorov, and Mackey. And I'll give Mackey credit. After a dreadful first period, he seemed to really figure things out. So those are the 5 guys they've got healthy right now. Don't know exactly what the status is on Tanev, but we're hoping that that's not going to be too long-term. And now you've got Stone on IR, so you've got a recall too. If Tanev is close but not quite there, you can't just have the 6 guys. You want to be able to have an extra defenseman with you that is ready and able to play. So you can understand why they've recalled 2 players. They were just able to get it in under the cap, and so they have just enough cap room to recall both guys. And we'll see if either DeSimone or Gilbert play on this trip. You would imagine if Tanev can't go, that there is, not just a chance, but one of those guys will play on the trip. Just depends on how you want it all to shape up and what you're looking for from each guy. I mean, I do find DeSimone's a very good puck mover, and I find him fun to watch. The defensive side of his game, especially at the NHL level, is can sometimes leave a little bit to be desired. So that's the situation right now with the Flames as we dive in on the live chat here. If you're with us on Facebook Live. Travis, first in. With the way the team's performing, would you make a move sooner than later by calling someone up or an outside trade? No, I don't think that this is something that needs to be addressed by a trade. I don't know if anybody, personally, Trav, I don't think anybody who is playing with the Wranglers right now is going to come up and all of a sudden be an upgrade on what they've got. And I think certain players, whether it's Zary or even Pelche, I think they're better served playing the roles. Phillips is not... Phillips has his moments in the American League, and I've watched a few Wranglers games where, he's really impactful and the points are always there. But watching him, it's hard for me to see that his game translates at an impactful level to the NHL, at least right now. So I don't know if there's anybody on the Wranglers that you say, well, that guy is clearly going to be an upgrade at forward. And on defense, they've recalled 2 players because they've had to, but that's not an upgrade situation. That's because Tanev and Stone are hurt right now. So I still think this group is more than good enough to get out of this situation and more than good enough to figure this out. We've seen them play good hockey already this season, so I don't think that we're talking about a lost cause or anything like that. I don't think we're talking about a team that's completely foregone or anything like that. I just think that they're a group that's struggling right now. They're fighting it. Certain players, led by Jonathan Huberdeau, are fighting it right now and are trying to be the guys that they've been in the past but are having trouble doing so. But I honestly, yes, I believe that they're going to get out of this. I do believe that they're going to figure this out. And I don't think that you need to go and make a knee-jerk or panic reaction trade because that's when you can make a bad trade. I think that regardless of whether they've lost 4 in a row or not, Brad Treliving has been looking for a forward all season long, going back to training camp. That's why they brought in Milano and Eakin on the PTOs. Neither of those guys worked out, but they've been looking for a forward ever since then. I still think that Brad's on the lookout for, I don't even know how you would phrase it. Is it a top 9? Is it a top 6? Is it a middle 6? He's looking for a winger that can slot in and play meaningful minutes on this team because I think when they start to juggle up the lines, you can tell that they are a winger short right now. So I do think that is still very much on the wish list, but I don't think you need to go do it right this instant or the losing streak's never going to end. I think that they've got the team that is, or a team that is more than capable of getting out of this losing streak. And while Brad evaluates and looks for a potential move down the road, I think they've got the type of team that can win more than they lose until then. For me, and I know that it's, some might laugh that I'm talking about the playoffs after they've lost 4 in a row and haven't looked very good in their last 3 games. Getting the ideal roster and filling that kind of glaring hole on the roster right now, that's a playoffs thing for me. That's making them a better or more difficult team to play against in the postseason. It is less about right now and getting out of this losing streak, if that makes any sense to you, Trav. What else we got here? So where are we going to Ron asks, what's up with Shillington? Look, he remains away on personal leave, and that's all that needs to be said. He's going through a tough time right now. He's dealing with something in his personal life, and he deserves privacy. And I know there's people clamoring who want details. And this is not, I'm not trying to be derogatory to anybody who wants details, but honestly, it's none of anybody's business. He's got a personal issue going on right now in his personal life. He's going through a tough time personally, and you deserve all the privacy in the world going through something like that. And when I say it's none of anybody's business, that's not to be derogatory, that's not to be judgmental or anything like that. It's just, it's none of my business, it's none of your business, it's Oliver's business. The Flames are doing the right thing by giving him privacy, and yes, they absolutely miss him as a hockey player, but just because they miss him as a hockey player, I don't think that means that we're entitled to know all of the nitty-gritty details about what's going on in his personal life. So and by the way, I'm not saying, Ron, that that's what you're saying. I'm just saying that as a whole, that I don't think anybody's entitled to know the details of what's going on. I think that what we know is enough, that he's going through something in his personal life, that he's away from the team on personal leave, and I can tell you that it's something that is pretty serious that he's dealing with right now. He's going through a tough time, and beyond that, I think that's all that anybody needs to know. Travis says, I just think Zary for a few games can bring some fresh energy to the team. Well, right now they don't have the ability to, Trav. They don't have cap space to do that, or roster space. And who are you going to – here's the thing, Trav. Who are you sending down? Like, this – and I can spar here, one-sided spar with Trav because he's a Flames Talk postgame caller, so I know Travis very well. But, Trav, who are they sending down? And – who are you putting on waivers to recall Zary? Right now, they don't have the ability to do that. So it's all fine and good to say, yes, go call up Zary, but okay, then what are you doing? Who's going on waivers? Who's coming out of the lineup? The lineup stuff's the easy part, but who's going on waivers to make room for that? You only have 23 spots on your roster, and you only have a set amount of cap space. And right now, you've got no cap space because you just called up 2 defensemen because you're going through an injury situation. So, Trav, it's not realistic to call up a guy like that based on that. Justin says, apologize if you've already answered this, just joined, but thoughts on the call-ups? Personally don't like it at all. Well, problem is, Justin, is that they don't have a ton of options. I mean, I don't like the fact that they're going to be without Stone here for a little bit. Stone's going to be gone at least a week because he's on IR, so he's eligible to return next Saturday against Winnipeg. As for Tanev, he's not on IR, so we don't know. He could return at some point on this trip, but they had to recall too because Tanev questionable and kind of shaky in terms of his status, and Stone's not going to play on the road trip, so you needed to call somebody up, and you probably needed to call 2. And you know, Poirier is like 6 games into his professional career, so he needs to stay with the Wranglers. So it came down to there's Meloche, there's DeSimone, there's Gilbert. These are the guys that have a little bit more experience and are more of that quad A variety, to steal a term from Pinder. And by that, I just mean they're guys that are really good American League players that maybe haven't proven yet that they're full-time NHLers, but they're pretty close to they're able to jump in a little more seamlessly to an NHL brand of hockey because maybe they're not quite full-time NHLers, but they're really good American leaguers, probably kind of in between that AHL NHL level. So I don't like the fact that they're in a situation where they need to recall players because that means injuries have hit, but I don't mind the actual recalls that they've chosen, if that makes any sense. Dylan says, I wish people would stop asking about Shillington, give him his privacy to work through whatever he has to work through. What else we got here? Kyle says, thoughts on Mackey. He looked lost. Well, I thought he got better in the second and third period. And by the way, Ron just follows up that he wasn't trying to delve into Oliver's personal life. And I just wanted to, that was not directed at you, Ron, by the way, what I was talking about there. That was more just of a general, because I do appreciate the question. But as to the point about Mackey, yeah, I thought he looked lost too, especially in the first period. He got better in the second and third period, and hopefully that's a sign of things to come, that maybe he settled in, because he did settle in the second and third period. Was not very good against Buffalo in his debut. 2 weeks later, was not very good against Nashville, and then really struggled against New Jersey in the first period. Was on for all 3 goals against and had a hand in all 3 of those goals against, but then did settle in and played better in the second and third period. And they needed him to play because they were down to 5 defensemen. So hopefully that's a sign of things to come, and hopefully a couple of rough outings and then being able to settle in the back end of the second rough outing can maybe help Mackey settle in overall and make it so his next game is a much better one. as for Dylan's question about Rick Ball, well, I don't know exactly when he's back. The good news is that he's doing better. And I don't know if you heard his chat with Eric Francis on the Eric Francis show last week, but he had a really, really scary health scare, and it was really serious. He's okay. He's recovering. He's not on this road trip. I know that. And beyond that, just whenever Rick's ready. And he's doing better. I've talked to Rick a couple of times, and we wish him all the best. And Harner Ryan's done a great job, and John Bartlett's going to do a great job on these next 3 games. But yeah, just all the best again to Rick Ball. Hopefully you're doing really well, my friend, and I know that he's getting better and recovering, and will be back at some point, but no need to rush that. It was a pretty scary health thing, and he'll be back when he's ready, and when he's ready, everybody will be happy to hear him and see him back on Sportsnet television. Last call for questions and comments. If you'd like to get something in and chat with us here on Flames Nation Live, because we are moving closer to Stampeders kickoff if you're watching with us live. So we'll get out in time for that and tell you that Flames Nation Live is brought to you, as always, by our friends at DoorDash. Download the app, create the account, and use that promo code FNLiveDD, and that'll get you 25% off and free delivery on your first order. That'll do it, I think, when it comes to our comments on Flames Nation Live today. We'll do it again. I'm guessing we'll probably do Wednesday because they play Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. So, yeah, our next one will be Wednesday when we chat again on Flames Nation Live. For now, you can check out Flames Talk, which goes 4 to 6 p.m. on Sportsnet 960 The Fan and after every Flames game, or you can get it wherever you get your podcasts as well. My name is Pat Steinberg from Flames Talk at Sportsnet 960. Hopefully you have a great rest of your weekend. Enjoy the Flames and Islanders on Monday. That is a 5 o'clock face-off, and of course, we've got it right for you on Sportsnet 960. Be well, stay kind to one another, stay safe, and we'll talk to you in a few days. It's been another edition of Flames Nation Live. Thanks for joining us, and as always, it's brought to you by DoorDash.